All right, guys, I just want to quickly go over a review of solving systems by substitution and elimination before you start this quiz. All right, so this says solve by substitution. They both equal y. So again, you're thinking in your head, we're taking all of this and we're substituting it in for that y right there. So when we set this up, negative 3x plus 17 equals x minus 11. Now we have one equation, one variable, so we're going to solve for x. And again, you can solve for x, you can start it off any way you want. I decided to add 3x to both sides. So I get 4x minus 11, add my 11 to both sides, and get, 28 equals 4x, and divide by 4. So x equals 7, and once you find your x, then it's just a matter of plugging that back into one of the two equations and then solving for y. So if I put it right here, 7 minus 11 gives me negative 4. So my answer is x equals 7, y equals negative 4. So again, when they both equal y, you make those two equations equal to each other, solve for x, then take that x, plug it back in, and then solve for y. The other way we have substitution is when one of them is solved for y and the other one is not. So we're going to take all of this right here and we're going to substitute it back in for that y right there. So I'm going to rewrite this first equation, right? The equation that's not y equals, we're going to rewrite that one and replace this y with all of this. So we have 4x plus 6 parentheses negative 2x plus 4, and then I have to finish off this equation equals 24. So from here, we're going to distribute. So I bring down the 4x minus 12x plus 24 equals 24. Now, these two terms can be combined because they're like terms and they're on the same side of the equal sign, right? Remember that equal sign splits it in half. So here I'm just going to subtract these. So this is just 4 minus 12, which gives me negative 8x plus 24 equals 24. I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides and then divide by negative 8, and we get that x equals 0. Once you solve for x, then you're going to take that answer and plug that back in to one of the equations. It doesn't matter which one. Obviously, the second one would be the easier one to plug it into. So if I put a 0 in there, right, I'm going to have y equals negative 2 times 0 plus 4. So y just equals 4. So my solution here is x equals 0 and y equals 4. All right, and then if we're looking at elimination, all right, so this was the first day when we were doing elimination. If I look at my x's and my y's, I determine which one I want to get rid of. So just looking at this, these are already opposite signs. These are already opposite signs, so it really doesn't matter which one you solve for. I'm going to eliminate the x. So if I'm going to eliminate the x, this is a positive 8x. Remember, we want that equal but opposite, right? So I want this term right here in front of this x to be negative 8. So if this is positive 8, I need this to be negative 8. So what I'm thinking in my head is negative 2 times what is going to give me negative 8, right? That's what I'm thinking. What do I need to multiply this by so that these are equal but opposite? So this would be 4. So I'm going to take everything in this equation, I'm going to multiply it by 4. So this is negative 8x plus 4y equals negative 8. Now, I'm just going to rewrite this first equation because I didn't change that equation. I didn't multiply that equation at all. So this is 8x minus 3y equals 18. And then remember, when we're doing elimination, we always add these two together. All right, so if we add these, this gives me 10. 4 plus negative 3 is just y, and our x's cancel, right? We eliminated the x's. That was the whole point of us multiplying by 4, is so that these would eliminate. So this one worked out pretty well. I don't need to divide anything because this is already by itself, so y equals 10. And then to find my x, I'm just going to plug this back into one of the two equations. So I'm going to plug it back into the second equation because this y is all by itself. So negative 2x, instead of y, I'm going to write down what y equals, and that's 10. And then I'm just going to go through and I'm going to solve this equation. Be careful with your signs. Make sure you're paying attention to signs. Make sure that you're double checking when you divide and stuff like that. So here are my two answers, x equals 6 and y equals 10. All right, and then the last way we learned elimination was when we multiply both equations. So if I'm looking at this, I have 4 and 7. There's nothing I can multiply by 4 to get 7 very easily. And then -8 and -10, there's nothing I can multiply by there. So I'm going to determine which variable I'm going to get rid of. And if I look at this, both of these are the same sign, but I want opposites. If I look at x, these are opposite already. So I might as well just go ahead and work with this, because then I don't have to multiply by a negative. All right, so if I do this, remember we talked yesterday, so if I'm eliminating the x, these are the numbers I'm looking at. So for this top equation, I'm going to look at this 7. Remember, we ignore the sign. So this is, I'm going to multiply this one by 7, and then I take this one and I'm going to move it down here, and I'm going to multiply this one by 4. Again, I don't have to worry about signs because they're already opposites. So I'm going to multiply the top by 7, so that gives me 28x minus 56y. And this gives me 168. All right, and then if I multiply this one by 4, this is negative 28x minus 40y, and 4 times negative 18 gives me negative 72. And again, I'm going to add these together. So when I add these together, my x's cancel. So I have negative 56 plus negative 40. That gives me negative 96y. And then 168 plus negative 72 is 96. Divide, and I get y equals negative 1. Now that I know that y equals negative 1, I can plug this back into here, here, or either one of these two, right? So we can plug it back into any of the equations that we want to do. I'm just going to go back to the first equation. I'm going to plug it in there. So I have 4x minus 8 times negative 1 equals 24. So 4x plus 8 equals 24. So now this is just a matter of solving the simple equation. Divide by 4, and we get x equals 4. So y equals negative 1 and x equals 4. All right. Now, real quick, I just want to show you one other thing. If we took this original problem here, and if we decided we wanted to solve for the y's instead, or eliminate the y's instead, so if we had 4x minus, I'm just going to rewrite this real quick. All right, so if I'm trying to eliminate the y's, when we multiplied, right, we're going to, this 10, I'm going to multiply the first equation by, this 8 is going to go down here. Now, because these are both negative, they're both minus, one of them's got to be positive. So in order to make one of them positive, I have to make one of these negative. It doesn't matter which one you make negative. You can make the top one negative, or you can make the bottom one negative. It doesn't matter. Both will work. So I would make this one negative, and then just go from there and solve it. Okay? So when the terms have the same sign, and we need them to have opposite signs, you got to be able to multiply out here. One of these has to be negative. Now notice here, these signs were already opposites, so notice that both of these were positive. We don't have to worry about the negative on the outside here. All right? Okay, good luck on your quiz.